Good evening from here. Good afternoon for those of us whose time falls within afternoon hours, and good morning to those of us who are entering their morning hours. I am Mazi Chika Austin, and this evening they will want to look at the border closure, the politics of border closure, and what is it all about? What actually is behind that action? What could have prompted Nigerian government, who is a strong championer of African integration or sub-regional integration, talking about the ECOWAS, to damn the ECOWAS protocol on immigration? You know, like the Igbo adage does said, the frog does not run on the afternoon without anything chasing after it. In another adage, it is says that that which killed or that which kills a dog through bite must have a stronger biting power than the dog. So why am I giving all these proverbs, or the Igbo proverbs, so to say? I'm giving it because historically, Nigeria have been a strong campaigner of African integration. Nigeria have been a strong campaigner of regional single currency or a sub-regional single currency, a kind of having financial policy obtainable in EU. Nigeria have been a strong championer of having one sub-regional currency within the ECOWAS sub-region. Nigeria have been a strong mover. She has spent her money, she has lobbied extensively for sub-regional integration. I'm talking about having an ECOWAS region that respects freedom of persons and goods. Nigeria have been a strong agitator for that. Why is it that today some Nigerians have spent hugely, that have spent reasonable amounts of dollars lobbying for West African integration project? How come about suddenly same Nigeria is destroying what she spent her money building up? Why is it that same Nigeria that signed the ECOWAS integration protocol in 1975, that is, I think, Olusegun Obasanjo, today same Nigeria is trying to destroy the West African Brotherhood, the West African integration project, the West African replication of European Union vision. And that is what we really want to discuss here. This question of why is Nigeria walking away from the West Africa integration project? she initiated, she spent hugely on. Why is Nigeria walking away from it? Why is Nigeria destroying what she built? That unanswered question is what we are going to try this evening to discuss. And I believe it's going to be an expose, it's going to be educative, it's going to be, enlightening for you to see why Nigeria have chosen to act the way she's acting today. First of all, for foundation building, I want to just build a foundation. We all know that ECOWAS is a kind of the idea to replicate what EU is in Europe, because EU, the vision of EU is talking about European integration, the bringing together of European people to establish a single market system, establish a single foreign policy, establish a single financial system. That is what European Union is nubbingly doing for the people of Europe, especially the Western Europeans, or the member states, those countries that signed to the initiative or the idea. So Africans, especially those in West African region, came up with the idea that what we saw in Europe, we want that to happen in West Africa. And that was how Nigeria and the rest of them came up with the idea of ECOWAS, economic of West African states. They came up with that idea, and Nigeria knew too well that any integrational project, Mazi Chibueze, Yamelek, welcome Mazi Odogwu. So Nigeria understands that any integrational project in West Africa or in Africa will be advantageous to her as of the time of this vision, not now, because all the integrational projects are disadvantageous to her. But at the earlier stage, yes, Mazi Chibueze, her concept of the whole idea, her concept of the whole project is that if we have a single market, if we have a single economy, if we have a single foreign policy within the ECOWAS sub-region, that she is going to influence a lot of things happening in ECOWAS. And of course, as of the time this vision was conceived, Nigeria had a comparative advantage to manipulate the games within the ECOWAS sub-region. Just the way EU is favorable to Germany, so was ECOWAS favorable to Nigeria. Because when you talk about free movement of persons and goods, as of that time, Nigeria agro products were taking advantage of these protocols. The Nigerian citizens were equally taking advantage of that. So to Nigeria, the integrational project was favorable. But ask yourself a question. Just can you imagine that Germany, that is comparatively gaining from European Union integrational idea, can you imagine that Germany today will want to walk out from EU? Is it conceivable? Is it imaginable for anyone to think that Germany will start breaking various protocols of European Union? It's unimaginable. So if Germany, for instance, who is advantageously gaining the integrational process in Europe. If Germany all of a sudden starts breaking the protocols, breaking the monetary protocols on movement or on immigration, start breaking the treaty on monetary policy, start breaking other treaties of European Union, then the question should be there must be something fundamentally bad going on that makes German to walk away or to blow up the edifice she initiated or she funded to where it is today. So that Nigeria have decided to destroy ECOWAS, that Nigeria have decided to drunkenly violate, have decided to show dishonest and disregarding and disrespectful manners to ECOWAS treaties and protocols, charters, is a clear indication that there is something fundamentally happening within the ECOWAS bloc that is a threat to the Nigerian government. And that is where we come to this evening to share a light on what this whole thing might be like. Now, first of all, let's look at the recent report by NIA. NIA is National Intelligence Agency, and what NIA does to Nigeria is what DSS does internally to Nigeria. Why DSS does the internal intelligence gathering for Nigeria, NIA does the standard intelligence gathering. So NIA, by disposition, is expected to gather intelligence for Nigeria internationally, spy on Nigerians abroad, spy on spy on foreign countries, especially on the areas of Nigerians' interest. That is what NIA stands for, National Intelligence Agency. So NIA came up and told, having spied, having gathered her facts, came up and said to Nigerian government, said that the neighboring African countries, because I told us one day that we're going to use a mosaic theories. Mosaic theories helps you to gather different incidents. Then you can arrive at indisputable facts that nobody can debug. And it is these piecemeal evidences that we are gathering to arrive on our facts. If our facts are not acceptable to you, then you debunk the piecemeal realities that we gather that build up to the facts. So NIA came up recently and said to Nigerian government, said that the nearby African countries, especially her neighbors, are not helping matters over Biafran issue. That even there are Biafran soldiers that are being trained in neighboring countries. This is what NIA said. How true it is, Mazi Chika Austin is not aware. But NIA said it, the Nigerian government should be careful because their neighboring countries are not thinking well for her survival. So when such a thing is done, I believe NIA or NIA's advice must have been keenly evaluated, and there was need for them to act on that. I believe behind camera, or before Nigeria decided to close totally her borders with all African neighboring countries, I believe she must have approached governments of these different countries, especially the neighboring African country. She must have approached them and said, help us to clamp down on IPOB activities in your various countries. It is part of diplomatic channels. It is part of, good brother appeal, which I think she must have approached this country and said, clamp down on IPOB activity. This help us to start killing them, arresting them in your country. But because this issue is not, the Biafran issue is a very sensitive issue. It's a very sensitive issue in the sense that every country is careful how she engages herself on the issue because of the delicacy of the whole thing. So she must have muzzled these countries and threatened to do this and that if you don't do this. And it looks as if these countries are not listening. Yes, these countries might choose not to go the way of Nigeria for some reasons. One of the reasons might be it will amount to more loss for any country within the West African sub-region to start picking up fights with one of the sophisticated freedom fighting movement, which IPOB is. No country would want herself to be dragged into media rubbishing by IPOB, because every country, they take notice of IPOB's activities and they understand how devastating. Thank you, Laurie Woodard. Welcome, my friend from United States. So they understand how strong IPOB is. They understand the power at the disposal of IPOB. They are not stupid. They understand that such a movement that have destabilized Nigeria can walk over any of them. They understand this. And they don't want to get themselves, trapped into such a dangerous warfare. Two, most of them snubbed Nigerians' request the request to clamp down on IPOB members in their individual countries or their respective countries on the ground that United States government position is too strong for any country to be in opposite direction with her. So if United States government have given nod to the activities of IPOB, saying IPOB is not a terrorist group, giving IPOB international passages, it will amount to stupidity for any African country to dance on the rhythm of Nigerian government, contrary to the position of United States government. And another reason is, or might be, that for the fact that this struggle have Israeli sympathy, it will equally amount to stupidity for any African country to dabble into a battle that she might have Israel fighting behind the scene. So these are the things they considered, and most of them outrightly rejected the idea, the offer to clamp down on IPOB members in their respective countries. And that's why it became so difficult for Nigeria, because Nigeria tried to say that Biafra issue is a domestic affair. It is a domestic affair, as you claim, and yet you're seeking international assistance to quell domestic affair. So that's why French government say, when they appeal to, because that is always the story they always say within international forum. Whenever they ask them, they say Biafra issue is a domestic uprising, that they will know how to do it. But the same person who is saying this is a domestic problem, you want to solve a domestic problem with an international tool. The same person who said this domestic problem is begging countries to help them to tag IPOB a terrorist group. And that's why French government, Emmanuel Macron, French president, told them outrightly when he came to Nigeria, and they told him to help them to stand against IPOB funds in France. And the French president, Emmanuel Macron, told them in Abuja outrightly that you should use a domestic approach to solve a domestic problem. So if IPOB is a domestic problem, if Biafra Restoration Project is a domestic problem, why are you seeking external solution? You can see how they are contradicting themselves. So now that these African countries outrightly snubbed them, refused to consent to their appeal, they felt, look at how funny this country is. They felt that the best thing to do is for them to destroy charters and protocols of ECOWAS, because they understand how these African countries are maximizing, are exploiting the vulnerability, the productive vulnerability of Nigerian state. They understand that they are just an outlet for productive capacity of nearby African countries, and they understand how these countries have been exploiting their market. So what they think they should do, that is what Abuja felt, is to block the market against Ghana, block it against Niger, block it against Chad, against Benin Republic. Then in so doing against Togo, then in so doing, they will force these people to the table. But let's look at the whole thing. You want to block, close your border, close your market. You want to, close the border, shut down movement of people and goods against the signed ECOWAS protocol in order to drag these people to round table to agree to your consent on the Biafran issue. But that is childish. Because if you're shutting down your borders against, for example, Ghanaian products, do you have a replacement to those products? These are questions people do not ask. This is the question, the hard question no one thinks to ask. It's not about talking on TV. We have millions of tons of rice and all the rest of them. It's not it. And you are working against the agreed sub-regional protocol, which you signed because you want to bully them into fighting a battle they know nothing about, into rising against Biafra they know nothing about. Do you realize that you are obviously telling these people that you are wayward? You have no respect to charters. You are not a gentle nation. You are not disciplined. You can walk away from any protocol, and how do you expect them? You can now understand. You think, because I know what goes to their mind is that they want to use Trump approach on NAFTA. That is their mindset. That by the time, just the way Trump closed importation from Canada and Mexico, that forced them to have the new trade deal. That is what Nigeria just felt. Are you America? If America stops importing steel from Mexico, she have a well-developed steel industry in the United States. The way as you have stopped the importation of those products from nearby African countries, ECOWAS member states, contrary to the protocol, do you have a domestic productive capacity to replace those products, those goods and services? These are questions people are not asking. These are what people are not looking into. And today, you can see the inflation is already high. Why? And I think it's better we say this, very, very important. Protectionist policy, which the contraption or the contraption claims she's applying. Protectionist policy is for internally healthy nations. When a country decides to operate protectionist policy, what we mean by protectionist policies are like when Trump says they are not going to trade on China until China buys also number of their products. It's a protectionist policy. And you do that when you are domestically healthy, when your internal productive capacity is healthy, not when you have epileptic and depleted productive capacity. You're talking about protectionist policy. Just the way everything here goes. Protectionist policies, when applied, encourages internal revenue. One, it encourages it, it encourages high employment figure, high employment, not unemployment. But in the case of Nigeria, the result is in opposite. Nigeria applied protectionist policy based on the border closure. The inflation skyrocketed from 11% to 15%. Instead of unemployment to be reduced, immediately she applied her protectionist policy. The thing skyrocketed. Instead of naira to be strong, to be stronger, the thing weakened naira more. Why? Why is this so? Because internally she is not standing. She is not formidable in terms of having effective and active microeconomic policies in place. And she start talking about border closure out of desperation, out of haste to survive, out of curiosity. And that's why, look at the whole thing. America stopped importation of some products when America wanted to review, Trump's government wanted to review the NAFTA, not America Free Trade Agreement. When Trump wanted to review that, he reviewed a lot of import concessions given to Mexico and Canada. What happened? These countries started begging. They were forced to renegotiate. But look at what is happening. Why are those countries, why was Mexico and Canada begging for new trade agreement? Because they know that America is domestically strong aside their own product. Another country I will use as a clear example is Japan. If Japan is voting out from Asian Free Trade Agreement, should be reconsidered. If Germany today tries to walk out from the European Union, the Europe Common Market or Single Market, everybody will beg her. German will be begged not to go that way. But why is it that immediately Nigeria decided to apply her own protectionist policy? Ghana today is telling Nigeria that she will use every power at her disposal diplomatically to make sure Nigeria, change that policy. If Nigeria is a functional society, Ghana wouldn't have opened her mouth to say that. Ghana would have been begging. If Nigeria is a functional society, Niger wouldn't have been ranting around. Niger would have been begging. But because they understand that in the whole scenario, Nigerians are the ones to bleed more, not even them. And that's why you could hear Ghana saying that they will do everything within their diplomatic outreach to make sure Nigeria change her position. Could you imagine Norway saying to Germany, we'll do everything within our reach diplomatically to make sure you change? Or Mexico saying that to United States? Or Singapore saying that to Japan or China in Asia free trade? So what am I trying to say? Nigeria has been forced to be acting like a mad woman nakedly by IPOB. The action of IPOB have forced Nigeria to start hallucinating, to start dancing nakedly and exposing herself more at the amusement of international communities. You close your border, inflation skyrocketed instead of inflation reducing. You close your border, hunger. You close your border, unemployment arose. Instead of unemployment to be reduced immediately for border closure, you can now see how IPOB's activities have forced Nigeria to expose her poor mindset. You cannot see. Nearby countries are now mocking the supposed or once giant of Africa. So that is how it is. That is how it is. So we must understand that the glory that was previously inherent in Nigeria is absolutely eluded. It has eluded her. The respect she used to have totally emitted. And today she's dancing nakedly before countries that used to respect her. And I want to even ask in the first place, you think you want to hurt your neighbors and end up hurting your citizens? Where is the wisdom? Where lies the wisdom? You want to hurt your neighbors? None of them is complaining. Ghana is not for complaining. In fact, Ghana was saying, goodness me. Ghana was putting a threat today that Nigeria goods that are entering in Ghana, that they will block it. That they are allowing Nigeria goods in Ghana, that Nigeria should. Ghana was talking authoritative that Nigeria should allow her own goods also. Why? Because Ghana never seen reason why Nigeria should act the way she is acting. Ghana is not seeing any reason. To Ghana, the behavior is childish, is uncalled for. And this is a big brother. This is giant. A giant is now forced to be behaving like a baby because one small boy, or supposedly called small boy, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, is forcing them to go haywire. In course of trying to hurt IPOB, in course of trying to hurt Biafra, they have created enemies. They have created enemies for themselves among their neighbors. Because someone felt, okay, Mazi, ndewo. Ndewo, sir.
Yeah, without dragging.
He said,
Yeah, like Megane.
Adam Massa.
Okay, I want to hear from Chore Ade. I want to equal Basara that importation of goods of
Because
this.
ya mege so na bekee so that our viewers when they na Igbo.
Yeah, I'm coming. You know, the for Nigeria closing their border means they are selling. There are things as a business. Yeah, Nigeria manufactured goods. Just like what you are saying concerning America and Britain, there's something they are saying talking about the tariff. That tariff is only Britain and UK. When you check, there are goods, you will see initial where they wrote PB or USB or USSR in every. That's a trademark of every goods, showing that any goods you see that they wrote PB. That's Britain. That's the initial. They are the own. They are the ones that promote that business. That's the tariff they are talking. And every good that goes into the whole world, like Nigeria now, they are saying that NAFDAC goes to. They only check. They will give you the NAFDAC will give you the NAFDAC to manufacture, and they will control it. And then when they control it, but it's still America and Britain. Those chemicals will come from them because sometimes those just like so now it's manufacturing a car. Most of the parts of those cars are not manufactured in Nigeria. Right, the only couple, either the body, you will see the door might be manufactured in all these European, China or somewhere. So that's which means like plane now, aeroplane, UK manufacture the engine. The wings are being manufactured in France.
Sorry, Mazi,
the wings are being manufactured right? So if Nigeria blocks those borders, right? Which means the whole country will be in shambles. They are not doing the Nigerian importers might decide to move their goods to either Ghana, either all these little African countries. Move their goods to either Ghana, either all the network is too bad anyway. The network is too bad anyway. So that's
Okay, you go off and resend your request. Let's see how it goes.
Hello, so the goose.
Hello, so the goose.
You will sign off, then send me the request back so that I will add you, Mazu.
Hello.
Mazu, can you hear me? Sign off and resend your request.
Okay, I will
Okay,
send
I
it.
will send it.
Okay. Okay, Mazi is off, and I think he might be coming shortly. So you understand what we are talking about. You can now understand what actually is playing out. In course of Nigeria, in attempts to hurt Biafra, hurt IPOB, in attempts to, drag the rest of West African member states into the Biafran issue, she has created enmity for herself. I mean to say. And I wonder where lies the wisdom. Because today, she has hurted virtually all the ECOWAS member states. Because she felt they are not doing enough in cooperating over her position on Biafra. That's exactly. She felt these African countries are not helping matters over Biafra. And she felt the best thing to do is for her to walk away from the agreed protocol. And guess what? These countries, whether you call them small countries or big countries, will definitely form alliance to teach Nigeria a lesson she will never forget. Yes, Maz, well done.
Hello, Mazi. Good evening.
Hello, Mazi. Good evening.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, how are you today?
Yeah, how are you today?
I'm good, and you?
Thank you for the programs.
Thank you for the programs. It's been long.
I just want to say a few things.
I just want to say
Then I'll sign
a
off.
few things.
So after that,
Topic. Then I will sign off. So after that can come.
Nigeria,
You know,
as a nation, like they call it,
as a nation, like they call it,
it's acting like
it's acting like
a child.
a child.
When you see an organization that is not organized like the zoo, you know. Did
Mazi,
to kill the male goat did kill the female one that have not done anything. They did what they did to hurt us, we Biafrans. But at the same time, shooting themselves on the leg. Are you getting me? They did what they did to hurt us. They closed Enugu Airport. They thought maybe I'm not coming out. Am I not coming out?
please sign. Okay. So it's unfortunate. I don't know. I would have wished people coming to the network is so disturbing. Maybe I can finish up, then sometime we see if they can allow us to have an interactive segment. So what am I trying to say? I said in course of trying to intimidate these countries into submission, Nigeria is creating problem for herself. Yes, Nigeria is creating problem for herself. You cannot tell me a country like Chad, let me use Chad for an instance. You cannot tell me a country like Chad that is currently enjoying heavy assistance from Israel. You can't tell me that Chad would want to clamp down on Biafrans because Nigeria wants her to do that. And then she will lose what she have or what she's getting from the state of Israel. I don't think anyone can say that. I don't equally think that a country like Niger, that is enjoying a lot of assistance from France and United States, because United States have her drone airstrip in Niger. You can't tell me a country like Niger would want to lose the assistances she's gaining from France, from United States, just because she wants to obey the Nigerian state. So the problem Nigeria have is that she does not want to accept in reality the current international power allocation at her disposal. The worst that can ever happen to any man is you living in past glory and you want to do something with the depleted or the old acknowledgement. You will land crash, you will nosedive. That's exactly what Nigeria felt, or she is still deceiving herself to think that she has what it takes to bully nearby African countries, ECOWAS member states, into submission. It's important sometimes I wish to talk here from a general view, because I know not just our wonderful Biafrans are here, there are equally Nigerians. And of course, DSS agents who would want to listen. Let me say this for information to Nigerian state. If you expect these countries to do your bid, because a national intelligence agency have advised, telling the ASROC that these countries, nearby African countries, are not helping to to clamp down on IPOB members, to destroy the Biafran project, and because of that, you think you can now walk away from ECOWAS. For your information, if you walk away from ECOWAS, you are creating the room for easy admittance or easy admission of the sub-regional bloc. You are paving the way for easy admission of Morocco in the sub-regional bloc. Remember, Nigeria have been in a stronger position of Morocco being a member state of ECOWAS. Nigeria have been opposing that vehemently, and today she is trying to prove to the rest of Africa, ECOWAS member, that if you fail to do her bid on Biafran issue, that she can close her market, of course a vulnerable market indeed, without considering the fact that if she closes her borders the way she is claiming to be, Morocco can still offer a better market opportunity for these countries. And that's why these countries realize that without Nigeria, they can live. If you listen to the reactions of virtually all these countries, no one is going haywire, no one is jittering. Ghana is saying today, we are allowing your products into Ghana and you're stopping our own. So likely Ghana is going to activate it for tat. And of course, the closure of the border is even affecting Nigeria internally. Inflation is high. Unemployment affected is on a negative. The reports are on a negative. So who is losing? And what does this have to teach us as a people? Because I believe we as a Biafran people should learn, should take into a serious documentation the mistakes of Nigerian state, so that immediately Biafra comes, we will not repeat that mistake. Nigeria failed to establish the right tool of influence. Yes, she refused to establish the right tool of influence, and she felt population is what a nation needs to muzzle others. It's pure lie. You can be populated with an irresponsible population. A replicant example is Nigeria. You can be underpopulated but with sophisticated population. Example of those countries are Japan, Israel. What is the demography? What is their population? Are you aware that even Netherlands survives via agro-product? And the net income of Netherlands, as small as she is, the net income of Netherlands in agro sector, from her agro sector, can fund Nigeria budget for 20, if not 40 years. So the time Nigeria had the opportunity to build the right tool of engagement, she blew it up. And she felt that she can just intimidate Ghana because of her size. You have seen it today. You have a reasonable, you have, in terms of demography, you have a lengthy demography, but an irresponsible and unsophisticated demography. And that's why Ghana is not jittering. That's why even Benin Republic, Togo, have you heard Togo talking? They don't mind, you can go to hell. Because they understand that you don't even have a strong productive capacity. What are they even depending on you for? Is it electricity? They have gone independent on that energy sector. Is it on transport? They are moving at their own speed. Is it on education? Their own education is more better than you. Is it on immigration? They have never even sought for you to give them concession on immigration, because most of their citizens don't even pray to come here. So the period Nigeria ought to have built a formidable society, a sophisticated one, so that when she sneezes, others could catch cold. She destroyed that opportunity. She destroyed that generation, that generational opportunity. And look at her today. She's just a laughing stock. And if the closure of Nigeria border could not force ECOWAS member states lining up in Abuja begging, what that shows is that both Africa, both ECOWAS, both the world is ready to live on, to move on without Nigeria. as an existing country. I think this is a litmus test. This is testing how possible it's going to be to ECOWAS members to live on without Nigeria existing as a country. And this is really showing, because closure of border, closing of your border against movement of persons and goods, if these countries can survive it, it shows that they can survive even when you are not existing. It's just a litmus test. You can see how Nigeria is just dragging herself, making herself to be test strong, making her end to be test strong, even before her conventional end. So what are we saying this evening? IPOB have succeeded in making Nigeria to dance a naked dance. Because the worst thing Nigeria did currently is to go into confrontation with countries, her neighbors, who would have helped her. The worst thing she did is to have gone this way, start provoking people who even supported her unity in time past. Do you think Chad will be interested to listen to her again? What of Niger? What of Benin Republic? What of Togo? What of Ghana? What of Senegal? And all the rest of them. So, the mistake of Nigeria is to our own advantage. Obviously, it's for our own advantage. And as the people are going hunger in the land, as the people are going frustrated, it shows that Nigeria on her own have perfected the pathway to her end. Because tell me, is it a deplorable, is it mesmerized, is it destroyed population, Nigerian population, hunger striking population, poverty stripped population that would wish to die for the country's unity? Absolutely not. In fact, people have withdrawn their patriotism, their wish for the continuation of Nigerian state. So I want to thank us for patiently being with us, and most especially everyone that tried to join. We'll continue, and by special grace of Chukwuka Abiyama, victory will finally be ours, and our freedom will be perfected. From here, I want to say good night, and may Chukwuka Abiyama bless us all. Thank you.